The next story is called Mr. Brave, written by the same artists. Mr. Brave is not as strong as Mr. Strong. He is not as tall as Mr. Tall. But that does not stop him being brave, as you will soon see. Now last Tuesday, Miss Bossy invited Mr. Brave for tea. "And don't be late," she shouted down the phone. It was a very stormy day, but Mr. Brave knew that Miss Bossy's temper was worse. So he set off for Miss Bossy's house, hurrying along as fast as he could to be sure that he was not late for tea. Along the way he heard a cry for help. It was Mr. Messy. He had been blown into the river by the wind. Mr. Brave did not want to be late for Miss Bossy, but being the brave fellow he was, he jumped in and rescued Mr. Messy. Right through, he hurried along the lane. Suddenly he heard someone sobbing loudly. Who could it be? It was Miss Somersault. She was balancing on a tightrope tied between two tall trees. "Oh, Mr. Brave, I am so lonely," she sobbed. "Nobody will come and play on my tightrope. They are all frightened of heights. You're so brave, won't you come and join me?" Mr. Brave looked at Miss Somersault. Then he thought about Miss Bossy, but being the brave fellow he was, he took pity on Miss Somersault and climbed onto the tightrope. They chatted away happily for a while, until Mr. Brave happened to look down. "Miss Somersault, look, the rope is going to snap. We're going to fall, and it's such a long way to the bottom. Oh, calamity, oh, help," he cried out in panic. "Be brave, Mr. Brave," said Miss Somersault. And without more ado, she carried him safely back to the ground. "Oh, thank you, Mr. Brave. Oh, thank you," said Mr. Brave, with a sigh of relief. Miss Somersault said goodbye, and Mr. Brave left on his own, shaking like a leaf. "I don't deserve to be called Mr. Brave. I was scared stiff. Thank goodness nobody knows my secret," he said to himself. And nobody doesn't know his secret, but do they? Miss Trouble had just happened to be passing, and he seen everything. And what she had seen and heard had given her an idea. A naughty idea. She grinned a mischievous grin. "Hey, come here, everybody. Come and see this," she shouted at the top of her voice. Very quickly a large crowd gathered. "I have an announcement," announced Miss Trouble. "Did you know that Mr. Brave isn't brave at all?" "No, it can't be true," said the crowd all together. "It is true," said Miss Trouble, "and I'll prove it to you." "Mr. Brave," she continued, "I dare you to walk across that tightrope." Mr. Brave looked up at the tightrope, and all the crowd looked at the tightrope. Then all the crowd looked at Mr. Brave. Mr. Brave suddenly remembered something, a very important something. "Just look at the time," he cried. "I'm going to be late for tea at Miss Bossy's." "Must dash," he cried, and he ran off as quickly as possible. "Hooray!" cheered the crowd, and they all clapped and applauded Mr. Brave. Miss Trouble looked puzzled. "Why are you all cheering him?" she cried. "He ran away. He isn't brave at all." "Oh, yes, he is," they all shouted. "Would you turn up late for tea at Miss Bossy's house?" Miss Trouble thought for a moment. Gosh, he is brave. Gosh, he is brave after all," she said in awe. Time for our final story out of 3.